Welcome back to our Tech Tip Thursday series for testing and troubleshooting i3 ovens. Today in front of us we have our high voltage capacitor. In this case it's already been discharged. Now the reason we discharge these is they are self-dissipating and they should dissipate, but if they don't, these are the parts that when people say don't take apart microwaves, this is the part you don't want to touch when you're taking apart a microwave. This part right here can store up to 4,000 volts, and that will be a big ouchie, and you do not want to feel that. So that is why we would use our screwdriver method with our gloves and our face shield and everything to discharge these. In the event something goes wrong, we want you protected. And trust me, you do not want to be a part of this. These, if they are failed, will arc weld a screwdriver together, and it's quite a lot of potential inside this capacitor. So testing these is really nice and easy. Most multimeters should have the capacitance setting, which is at the very top. And then the other side of this is if yours doesn't, these are relatively inexpensive. You can replace these. Another dead giveaway is if they're bulging. If you see them bulging, ticking, hissing, that's usually a sign that you don't need to test it. It's probably bad. And with this, you'll see on the side, we have 0.19 microfarads and 0.91 microfarads. Now we only use one side of this, but we can test both quick. So we've got our multimeter there, and we should get 0 because it's so low. And then if we go full length, or if we go on the other side, we should get 0.91. It's funny, we're not getting anything, which also concerns me that this multimeter might be bad. So that might be why this multimeter is sitting in the back room. All right, let's grab a different multimeter and we'll test it that way. Pull out the big guns. Let's test now. Maybe we'll get a different result. So 0.3, which is a little high. There we go. I was slightly off. So 0.196, so that's spot on. And then 0.92. So that's pretty much spot on. So that's how you would test one of these. Super easy. The key thing is, you know, if you're having issues with your multimeter, these are relatively inexpensive. What you'll usually see is blowing 20 amp fuses. That's usually the issue, and they're really inexpensive to swap out. So if these guys have been hanging out in that oven for a long time, this is where, once again, I will go back to dating parts is super important. If you come back and you see that this thing is getting a little aged, a little tired, I believe they're no more than $20 a piece, and they're relatively easy to swap out. But dead giveaways, bubbling, hissing, big puffy, starting to get puffy, you have a problem. So you don't even really need to test them at that point. At that point you can say it's pretty much dead. So, all right, we will continue on with the rest of our troubleshooting sheet next week. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.